So my name's Andrew Knightlick. Thank you for being here. We'll get to the presentation momentarily. I'm pretty transparent. I like to start with the call to action. For those of you, whether you're listening to the recording or here live, thank you for your time. And at the same time, the call to action is simple. I'd like you to go to our website, centerforexecutivecoaching.com. This presentation will give you some indication of how we teach. We're looking at one slice of executive coaching, specifically business development today. At the end of that, I'll give you a tour of what your member area would look like if you join. And so the call to action is very simple. Go to our website, centerforexecutivecoaching.com. Click here, this Get Certified. Maybe click the program comparisons, advantages, and overview, and you'll see, just a ton of information about the program, the curriculum, what sets us apart, right? You'll see a program comparison with all the pricing and everything else. Most of our programs are the same. Our core program is really where you start, and you can add the ICF and or a seminar. We still have a couple of spots for our February 9th through 11th virtual seminar. It tells you how it works step by step. You can download the curriculum, the schedule, the textbook table of contents, see some testimonials, and even watch a couple of videos. Okay, so that's it. I want to make sure today is educational. But if you like what you see, if the budget's right, if you're very serious about jumping into executive coaching, I'd love to talk to you more. You can go to the contact page and you'll see how to reach us. Okay. So with that, let's get into the curriculum. Okay, let me know if you don't see the PowerPoint. That should be up here. This is real simple. I want to show you how to get your first executive coaching client even if you don't have a big network. That was the case for me when I first started. I was working for a management consulting firm and wanted to get a coaching practice going. For obvious conflict of interest reasons, I couldn't go after the same market or even clients or even market as my consulting firm, and did not have a big market. My wife and I had moved, well, my wife to be at that time had moved to a new town in a new county and didn't know lots of people. And so I had to build up my coaching practice. And what I'm going to share with you are 7 steps to get that first executive coaching client. This is just a tiny sliver of what our curriculum covers. If you're interested in our program, stick around at the end. I'll give you a tour of the member area where you'll see everything that's included. But this is what I want to share today. By the way, if you missed it, we had another webinar last week. It's in your member area now, not member area. It's in the articles section of our public website now. And that goes through how we approach the foundational coaching conversation for executive coaching, right? So if you want some good executive coaching conversation content, you can go there. There's tons of resources on that page too. It's basically the articles link on our website, okay? So I won't take you through the agenda because I'm basically going to share with you the 7 principles of getting that first coaching client. I should introduce myself. My name's Andrew Knightlick. I'm the founder and director of the Center for Executive Coaching. I started my coaching practice 2 decades ago. As you'll see in a moment, it was a mess for the first 6 months. I didn't get anywhere. And I think it's because of that, that I feel pretty comfortable teaching people how to get clients as a coach. That abject failure for 6 months and then making the transition and figuring out how to do it was really priceless for me. It took about a year to replace my salary. I was an unhappy management consultant. I was just burning out. I was sick of flying around. Clients really seemed to want coaching more than they wanted all the PowerPoints that we presented anyway. And so about a year after I got my first client, I had replaced my salary as a management consultant, and it's only gone uphill from there. As a result of being a coach, I work with absolutely wonderful people. I get to choose my clients, and we don't have to get in the weeds. We focus on their most pressing issues, that 1% of leadership decisions and discussions and behaviors that makes all the difference. I choose how I use my time. I've written a number of books, including with J. Conrad Levinson, the late founder of the Guerrilla Marketing Series. We wrote 3 together. I've spoken around the world. I work from this home office that you see. On the left, you could see often where I spend my time is on an island where you need a car ferry to get there. And in terms of the pandemic that's happened, that has been a godsend. Right now, the opportunity is that any of you can be a national or international expert. Clients no longer expect you to drive to them. They don't even want you to travel to them. And so with all of the technology there for virtual meetings, it's really a wonderful time to jump into coaching. I don't know when I'm going to retire. I'm 55 now. I could see doing this as J. Conrad Levinson did into my late 70s, 80s. I just love what I do. I find coaching to be an amazing profession. It's really great. I get to be with my kids, my wife, as much as I want, make a great income, do things I love. And as I shared, business has improved since COVID. I think it's one of the many industries that has actually rightly or wrongly benefited from this pandemic. Okay, so that's who I am. Started the Center for Executive Coaching, again, about 2 decades ago. We formalized it in 2006 when it was just growing to the point where we needed to do that. We are an International Coaching Federation accredited program. They're switching over to accrediting organizations this year, and we're working with them on that. We just got reapproved for 3 years with them, and we've been with them for quite a few cycles. Okay. So what sets us apart, just so you know who we are, if you haven't been to our website, we're very different. We occupy a very unique niche in the market. We're really catering to dynamic, successful professionals, right? There's a lot of coach training programs that will take anybody with a pulse, a lot of life coaching, a lot of fluff out there. And I feel bad for coaches who want to be that kind of coach, because they're just not going to make any money or enjoy themselves. We want people who are credible, who have a track record of success, who have substance, whether it's through education, leadership, you're already a coach, consultant, trainer, or other type of professional. It doesn't matter what, as long as you have substance and you're successful and you have a practical bent, you're really committed to getting results for people. You have a passion for helping people be better. If that's you, we might be the fit for you. We don't beat you over the head with academic theory or take too long like some of the academic programs do, or university programs. And we're not going to push some sort of pseudoscience or philosophy of the world onto you and expect you to push that onto your clients like other programs do. Okay, we're very situational, very results driven. It's all about what is value for clients. So we're very practical, real world in there. We're known for the ongoing support you get. We're a boutique program. If you want to talk to me or any of the other faculty, we respond pretty much immediately. We're practical. We're famous for our coaching solutions and toolkits, which is really unmatched, and for our business development support, which you're going to learn a little bit more about today. Okay. So again, thank you for taking the time. I should say, we really like to introduce ourselves with the results that our members get. You can read those. I got 2 emails today. One, thank you, Andrew. I cannot say enough good things about your program, from the textbook, all of the online resources and training, and you're taking time to review all of these calls. It is absolutely amazing. Thank you for everything. So that's one. By calls, this graduate meant reviewing recordings of her coaching sessions. Here's one from Ron. He says, Andrew, just an update and thanks. He's about 1 year after graduating. This is what he said. It's amazing. I booked over $1 million in coaching last year. All of it is career advancement coaching, and all of it was paid out of pockets by the executives I coach. No corporate paid engagements last year. And then he gets into some of the clients, and they're, Fortune 500 companies. It's absolutely amazing what he has here. And that's how we measure our success. Okay. I don't, it's not, did you get transformed? Did you have insights about yourself? That sort of stuff comes through a coaching program. It's really, are you successful? Are you helping clients? Whether you're external or internal, are you getting results? That's what gets us excited. Okay. Just briefly, let's talk about the executive and leadership coaching market, just so you know where things stand. Executive coaching is a pretty serious market right now. It's become a proven professional development strategy. It's experiencing continued growth. The International Coaching Federation and other associations of coaching have collected a number of studies that prove that coaching works. For every $1 invested, there's $4 to $8 returned. In my own practice, I won't go into an engagement unless the client and I agree on what that means. Right? A lot of people say, how do you measure the return on investment of coaching? Well, I ask the client, I'll say, what will make this worth 5 to 10 times the fees and the time and all of that it's going to take for coaching. And if they can't come up with anything, I'm not going to take the engagement. And often what they come up with isn't just tangible financial or productivity gains. It's often, I want to feel more confident. I want less stress. I want to be less overwhelmed. We can measure that on a scale of 1 to 10, for instance, how they spend their time, things like that. We know that well over half of the Fortune 500 companies, if by this time not a vast majority of them, rely on coaching as a standard professional development tool at all levels, the C-suite to up-and-coming talent. And there's continued rapidly growing acceptance in organizations of all sizes, right? I don't tend to work too much with Fortune 500 companies, although I have about 3 clients that are Fortune 500. I really like that mid-sized growing company, anywhere from small growing companies of $1 million and up to about $250 million. I really enjoy that. I can reach the decision makers. These companies tend to be creative. They can get things done, and there's millions of them. So I really like playing in that space myself. But you can pick wherever you want. You can coach leaders at all levels. We call it executive coaching, but that's a really broad term. You can coach CEOs or anyone else in the C-suite, senior leaders, middle managers. There's a ton of coaching happening now with up-and-coming talent and high potentials, particularly group coaching. We show you how to do that. First-time managers, career transitions, and solo business owners, entrepreneurs, family businesses. And it's all types of organizations, large, mid-sized, small, for-profits, nonprofits of all sizes. That's how I got my start. Federal, state, and local government. Educational institutions are investing in coaching now. They're realizing that a lot of people running universities and other educational institutions might have academic qualifications, but don't know anything about leadership, and solo professionals. And there's tons of situations, right? When you join our program, we're going to work on it with you to figure out what you're going to be famous for, right? Is it general professional development, communicating and influencing with more impact, helping people who have rough edges but are otherwise amazing and brilliant, eliminate behavioral blind spots, shift perceptions. We have some great modules on shifting limiting perceptions that are holding the leader back, resolving conflict, engaging employees. We even have some modules that have been statistically proven to increase employee engagement scores for the managers that were coached using our methodology. Leading teams, navigating change, planning and executing strategy. Most of my recent calls are all about success in a new role. That's a huge area, especially these days with so much transition. Creating a high-performing culture, developing a pipeline of leaders, overcoming overwhelm, and many more, including coaching the growing business. And again, there's tons of niches, right? Executive coaching is not a niche. Leadership coaching is not a niche. The top niches today, I believe, are anything technology, scientific, clinical, anything that did well or was critical during the pandemic. There's a lot of coaching opportunities. A lot of those organizations have budgets, they're doing well, and they're investing in their people. Professional service firms are always a good niche. They are often dysfunctional families, if you will, among their partnership. There's a lot of help needed to get that next level down, up to partnership and help grow the company. Success in a new role, growing businesses, family businesses, financial services now with fintech. A lot of them are trying to pivot and be more agile. Nonprofits, military leaders is big. In fact, the US military has an entire initiative now related to coaching. And I'm getting quite a good deal of business from that. Teams, high potentials, and change initiatives, okay? So you get to pick. You pick the level, the size of the organization, where you're going to play, what your niche is, and so on, all right? Any questions before we jump in? I want to get into, of course, what you came for, how to get your first client. I think this won't take more than the hour. We should be done by 2 p.m. But any questions so far? So I suppose before we talk about how to get your first client, you know, my practice started at nothing and was terrible when I first started, but do you mind? I'm going to share with you my business model. This is me. I keep this spreadsheet all the time. I adjust it. I've adapted it a little bit here, but just to show you what we're talking about here. Okay. And I'm always scared to do this. I'm scared to do this because some people have said, Andrew, don't show big numbers. The people who come to these webinars are small thinkers. They don't even know they could make six figures as a coach. And I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to share with you what it is. These numbers aren't, I'll show you what I did when I came in. But look, my initial engagement, I currently charge $20,000 for a 6-month engagement. Okay. I don't charge by the hour. I don't charge by the month. I charge a price. Actually, I charge $25,000 now. So we'll keep it at 20,000 to keep the math right. Okay. Now that's an interesting price. That price is in the higher range for small organizations. It's in the lower range for big organizations. If you were to do research about what executive coaches charge, you'll see it's all over the map. For small business coaching, it's anywhere from about $1,000 to $2,200 a month if we break it down by month. And the contracts tend to be longer, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, because it's about growing the business as well as helping the leaders grow. In executive coaching, you'll see contracts that range from 6 months to a year, sometimes 18 months when you're working on a team or a change initiative and you're serving as a coach. And again, it's anywhere from, I don't know, $1,500 a month up to $7,500 a month or more at the top leadership advisory firms. I'm working with one now that tends to charge about $60,000 for a 6-month engagement with the C-suite. But for me, it's about a long-term relationship, right? So what this is a spreadsheet of 12 to 18 months and the likely value of a client over that time, noting that I'll often work with a client for years. So it starts for me with some sort of initial engagement, usually one-on-one coaching with a leader, $20,000. So the expected value by definition is $20,000. There's a 100% chance I'll get that. There's an 80% chance I found that I'm going to do some sort of facilitated session with the client and their team. Now, back before everything was done by Zoom, they'd fly me in. It would usually be a 2-day event. There'd be a day of interviewing and synthesizing and working with the client. And so this number would be a lot higher. These days, it's typically a 1-day or half-day thing plus some prep. I tend to charge $7,500 day rate. Again, in some smaller companies, that's been called expensive. In many recent clients, they've called me a cheap date and said I should be charging $10,000 to $12,000 if I'm going to do a day rate. But typically, I think of 1 day of prep, 1 day to deliver. It's 80% chance this happens with any client. So 80% times $15,000 gives you an expected value of $12,000. About 65% of clients will engage me for some sort of coaching to develop strategy. This is a brilliant model. We show you how to do it. A lot of companies don't want to pay millions of dollars to a big consulting firm. They don't want to outsource their brains. They don't want to get some sort of PowerPoint that's all about the consultant looking smart. They want something that works based on the wisdom of the people in the room, what they know they can implement. Of course, they know the market. They can find things out. But anyway, $35,000 tends to be the price. The range for me there is $20,000 to $65,000. 65% chance times $35,000, you get about $23,000 expected value. And about 80% of my clients renew the coaching for another 6 months. So that's 16,000. If you add all that up, the average client for me over 12 to 18 months is about $71,000. Okay. Now you can mess with these numbers. I always do. You know, if you're just starting, maybe you say this price is outrageous. You can put in your own price. Okay. The point I want to make is you pick the income you want to earn, right? The beauty of coaching is it's not like a hamburger shop where you have to pay for hamburger. Pretty much everything except for internet connection, tax experts, website, stuff like that goes right to you. You know, my goal was always $350,000, but let's just put in let's say you want to make $250,000 trading your time for dollars with clients. You only need 4 clients to make that happen. Do you see that? It's a lucrative profession. If you're credible, if you know how to market yourself. Now, if I put in 350, 1,000, I'm not a spreadsheet guru, but there we go. We need maybe 5 clients. This rounds, okay? So you can pick your number, but the point is, if you're good at not just being a one and done coach, but being a trusted advisor that can offer a range of services, you can make a good income. Okay. Luann asks, where can I find rates based on regions? You can't. That's the problem. There's some amazing coaches that charge far too little. They have low pricing self-esteem. There's some coaches that charge a ton, it would be a scatter plot, not just by how much people charge, but by how they charge. Some are hourly, some are daily, some are monthly. I like a complete solution, and I find the top coaches charge that way as well. Okay. If you join the program, we can talk more about that. I just want to share with you my business model. Now, this would have all been zero when I first started, and that's what we're going to talk about right about now, how to get that first client. Tammy asked, what do I recommend as a starting rate for a new coach? It's real simple. I recommend you come up with a price such that you're equally happy with a yes or a no. That's it, right? Like my first engagement was ridiculously tiny. I was still employed as a consultant, trying to moonlight to prove I could do it. And I won't even, it was embarrassing, but I was happy. I was happy with it. If the client had said no because it was too expensive, I was happy. And if they said yes, I was happy. So you have to look inside and say, what for this starting rate will make me equally happy? It's just finding that equilibrium for you. All right, enough suspense. Let's jump in. I think I shared slightly my first 6 months, but let's get specific. It's embarrassing, but when I first started, right, I was at a management consulting firm. We were making I think the firm at its peak made $85 million. It was ultimately sold. The average engagement started at $250,000. But I guess the point is the firm had clout, right? People would take our phone calls. When I left, or even when I tried to moonlight when I was starting, it was a little bit, it was like a bath of cold water because I was nobody. And in fact, not only was I a nobody, I was awful at positioning myself. I started with, hey, I'm your friendly neighborhood leadership coach. What's a leadership issue you face? Now, you may laugh when you hear that. And yet, of the many coaches who are out there, if you go to their websites, this is exactly what they're doing, and they're not getting any business. And, I feel bad for them, but they have to figure it out like I did. Now, we're going to teach you in the program how to do it. But over 6 months, I'd estimate like 250 rejections. I have no trouble getting out there. And I was speaking, I was going for referrals. I got zero clients. Finally, someone, I don't even remember her name. She was, someone who was introduced to me. We were sitting down for coffee. I remember it. She said, I know you're smart. I know you've had a great education, a good career, but to be perfectly honest with you, based on how you're talking, I have no idea who I'd refer you to. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. And I said, all right, I better figure things out. And that's when I got smart. And I figured out the 7 steps I'm going to share with you. Should you join our executive coach training and certification program, you get all the support you need to get clients, right? Like I'll review your marketing message. I'll coach you before you meet with a prospective client. You'll have a member area filled with about 20 hours of videos, 150 pages of business development tools, sample proposals. You'll see a couple of hours of sales demonstrations, how to sell without selling, so you feel natural. You're basically just coaching the client through the buying process. How to price, how to get visible. It's all there, okay? But let me tell you at a high level what you need to do. Forgive me. Step 1 is you have to be a great coach. There's just no way around this, right? There's really 2 paths that you're on. One is coach clients to such great results that they refer you to others, that they're delighted to work with you, that they keep hiring you. There was a time when the market was the Wild West, and that's changing, right? Anybody who wanted an encore career could just hang a shingle that said, I'm a coach, hire me. You can't do that anymore. There's expectations. There's a common language, a common set of competencies. So you have to know what you're doing as a coach. You have to know the core competencies, the processes. You have to be good at them. You have to know how to set up an engagement. Clients really expect that you can get results. That's why they're hiring you. They're not patient. They need you to be good at helping them with their most pressing challenges. The people who come to us already have credibility. They already have some substance. And so they aspire typically, almost always, to be at least in the top 5% of coaches out there in terms of the types of clients they're working with, their income, their overall fulfillment. But you have to be an excellent coach. That's step one. You can't just market and not know what you're doing, or you will not last long. And I'll tell you, there are coaches out there who have had training from other schools. I replace them all the time. And the reason I replace them is because they feel great about what they learned in their coach training school, but it's cringeworthy once they hit the executive and leadership level of organizations. It's just all jargon, fluff, new age stuff, life coachy stuff. And that's not what executives are looking for. Okay. So step one, get trained. Okay. Be an excellent coach. Step two, you have to have the right attitude. Okay. Coaching, there's no mystique to it. Coaching, like any professional practice and really any business, is a business. You have to have the mindset of a champion, and you have to be ready for what the initial startup will be like. Not for all of you, but for many of you. If you have a great network, if you have people waiting for you, happy to take your call and already know what you're great at and want to work with you, you're going to do fine. But for a lot of people, you have to prepare mentally for the idea that it's like, that photo or that, that painting of Sisyphus, the mythical figure who has to push a rock up a very steep hill. And it's like, keeps moving the boulder up and then has to take a step or two down. That's what it feels like when you start any business. And that's what it will feel like here. You have to be ready for that. You have to be mentally prepared and be okay with that. It feels like you're putting about 10 units in just to get 1 unit out. You have to just keep getting back up and keep learning. That's what saved me. Okay, to me, a no was never personal. A no was just feedback telling me, I didn't do that right. What can I learn? Not only that, a no is a really good thing because you don't have to waste your time with a client. Yeah, as Tammy says in the chat, it's really sales 101, but not used car sales. It's professional services selling, right? You're authentic, you're natural, you're asking great questions. We'll talk about that shortly. The other thing is you can't hide behind a desk in a website. Coaching, like any professional service, really any business, any human enterprise, we do not exist if we're not having great conversations with people, right? We create reality through words, through conversations. If you're hiding behind a desk and hoping your website or LinkedIn profile does the work for you, well, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. You have to be out there. You have to be visible. You have to be educating people about how you can help. We'll get to that shortly. With all of that, there's really good news here. And it happened with me. Like, my first clients were in the nonprofit world. So I got to work with a lot of board members of nonprofits. And that was awesome because once they saw my work and liked me, they would refer me to other places where they were board members, other nonprofits, as well as to their own companies, right? Many of them were leaders in fairly significant enterprises, and they would refer me that way. So the good news is, whether you're nonprofit focused or not, a couple of clients can lead to a full practice. After my first year, I could trace a very high percentage of my sales, more than half, maybe 75%, I don't know, to probably my first 2 clients. Okay, so there's some good news here. If you can get those first couple of clients and you're a good coach and you get results and you know how to listen for new opportunities, you're going to do really well. Okay. So now let's jump in, right? Like, there's a question about networking in the chat. Before you're networking, do not pass step 3. Okay, you have to position yourself powerfully. You want to be somebody that people remember and think about first when they have a need. Okay, you can't just say I'm a coach. That's a commodity and no one really knows what it means. In fact, when most people think about coaching, they think about sports coaching. And so if you go to a lot of coach websites, they all look the same, they're generic, and they're all about the coach. I graduated here, I did this, I'm this, here's my story. And that's not a great way to market yourself to people who want to know about their problem and how you can help them. So for me, after 6 months, when I was going nowhere and I met that individual and she gave me for whatever reason, I was finally able to hear what she was saying. What I realized was I needed to position myself as a leading go-to professional or expert in my market. I needed to stop saying I'm a leadership coach, and I needed to focus on how I could help and who I could help. And after I did that, everything flowed. For me, it started with nonprofits. My first thing with nonprofits was I can help nonprofit executive directors and their boards create strategy that actually gets implemented. And from there, I'd work with executive directors on how to avoid burnout and overwhelm, how to engage their paid and volunteer staff, how to strengthen their board, how to execute. And so that was really powerful because now I could go up to people and say, who do you know that you could introduce me to who's in the nonprofit world? Where can I speak where nonprofit people tend to go? So what you want to think about, once you get in, and we'll help you with this, we'll coach you through this, is I help X to get Y, right? You could take the coward's way out. The coward's way out is anybody and everybody could be my client, right? I could have 7.5 billion coaching clients. So you could have unlimited clients, but the problem with people who do that is they have zero conversion. I learned about this from my management consulting firm. They specialized in hospital systems, of which there were maybe 5,000 hospitals at the time and probably 1,500 systems. And that's what they specialized in. And so they were known as one of the go-to firms for helping healthcare systems, right? This was management consulting, but they only needed probably 50 clients they had at any one time to generate their $85 million, right? So they had a very small niche, but a high conversion rate. I'd rather do that anytime. And the way to get there is to say, I help X get Y, where X is a very specific type of person, maybe by industry, by function, maybe by demographic group, like young women who want to break through the glass ceiling, maybe by psychographic group, Christian-owned businesses, people who run Christian, who have a strong Christian faith and run small businesses. And then what do you get them? What's the benefit they care about? It can't be something, don't say things like transform, have emotional intelligence. Nobody knows what that means. You'll just be invisible, right? It has to be something people care about. My second niche was I work with technology CEOs of growing technology companies who are brilliant at tech to also be brilliant at engaging their team so they can scale their business, right? And how did I get that? I got that because I gave a talk and a tech CEO of a $10 million company came to me after and said, Andrew, I love tech. I hate dealing with people. Can you coach me? So that became my second niche. Okay. Another way to frame this is X comes to me when they want Y, right? Nonprofit executives come to me when they're overwhelmed with too many priorities, too many stakeholders. Or X comes to me when they struggle with Z. And then from there, we'll show you how to write a compelling marketing message. Most marketing messages that coaches write are terrible. They're all about the coach. Too many coaches tend to be narcissistic egotists. If you'll excuse, I don't mean to insult any of you, but you really want to get into this if you want to truly serve others. And so the way to do that is with a marketing message that starts with a problem statement, like tech leaders of growing technology companies come to me when they're struggling with these three issues, or they share with me in confidence that they're often frustrated with these three issues. And I'll list the three issues and what they're costing them business-wise and emotionally. And that way, if a technology leader happens upon something I've written and sees this message, they're engaged. They don't care about me. I haven't earned the right for them to say, who am I? But they want to read about themselves and their own problems. That's what a good marketing message starts with. And then you can segue to, it doesn't have to be this way. When I work, when clients come to me, here's what they experience. And I can list the benefits. And then finally, I could say, here's why I'm unique. Unlike others, here's why you should work with me. And you've got to figure out why that is for you. Maybe you have years of experience. Maybe you've walked in their shoes. Right? Maybe you have some education. Maybe you've developed a proprietary process. And then finally, don't just ask them to marry you right off the bat. Give them something. Right? There should be some sort of low risk, high value call to action, like download this, some research we've done in the market where I interviewed 10 people just like you, and you can benchmark yourself, or click here for a series of videos where you'll learn how to solve this problem. Okay. This is really important. Too often I see coaches who just go out and spend a fortune on a website. They put some stuff up and they get nowhere. None of this works until you figured out how to position yourself powerfully. Okay. When you join the program, to Mark's question in the chat, which is, can you be too broad? Yeah, you can be too narrow, too broad. We give you a worksheet that helps you compare and assess different niches. You and I can talk anytime, and I can coach you through it. You just don't want to be a generic leadership coach. I'm telling you, it doesn't work. It didn't work 20 years ago, and it works even less today. So that's step 3. See, so this is the strategic foundation. Once you have this, you're ready to get visible. I found, well, first of all, some research. There's a guy named Ford Harding. He's written Rainmaker and Creating Rainmakers. His research matches my own experience working with other coaches and consultants. And specifically, there's no one size fits all way to get clients. There's 4 broad categories that you see here. And within that, there's dozens and dozens and dozens of tactics, and you can figure out what works best for you. Okay, so like for me, I'll do keynote speeches, but I learned if I do them for free, I never got clients for a variety of reasons, one of which might be I'm a really boring keynote speaker. But if I did a seminar, like a short seminar, a couple hours with a small group, I would get tons of clients. So I would lean more towards that. Similarly, if I did research and started publishing proprietary research based on interviews I do with leaders, that got me clients. So you'll figure out what you like to do, what you're good at, and what works. Broadly, the 4 areas are: 1, relationship marketing, right? That means getting introductions to people who can open doors for you. You don't have to look for leads right away. It's a slow process, but it's free, and it's how you get yourself established. You can also form alliances with complementary professionals. Right. So I've had an alliance with an investment banker, private equity investor, and he needed some eyes on the ground. He needed someone working directly with the leaders of their portfolio companies. And that was me. He'd bring me in and we had a great partnership. I have an alliance with somebody who offers great assessments. He likes assessments. I like coaching. So we have a natural alliance. By the way, I'm very low on sociability. Like I'm a super introvert. If you're a super introvert too, that doesn't mean you can't do relationship marketing. For me, what it means is I won't go to big networking meetings. I avoid Chamber of Commerce meetings, association conferences. I don't like those. You might love them and it could be great for you. So what I've had to do is I outsource my networking. I found people who have big networks, and then we form an alliance. Right? A lot of those folks have such big networks, they can't monetize them. They don't know how to close business. They don't have an offering for them. So they love people like me, and they'll pass me business. Okay. So keep that in mind. Whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, doesn't matter. Number 2 is educational marketing. Right? William says, how do alliances work? How do you do referral fees? Again, I apologize, but this is a pretty high level presentation. In the program, that's the kind of support you get. And I hope you'll join that, because again, we go in for hours and hours on how to do this. You get forms. We role play a little bit about how to ask for introductions, how to form alliances. There's a lot going on. Educational marketing. There's tons of ways to educate your clients. You don't want to come across as just a fly-by-night coach. You want to be the first person people think about when they have a need. And so you want to do webinars just as I'm doing now. Write, speak, lead seminars, get on panels. There's all sorts of ways to do educational marketing, create videos, write ebooks, do some research. And again, you'll find what works best for you. Don't, if any of this, you hear this and you say, oh, I don't want to do that. That's absolutely fine. Everybody has to figure out what works for them. I mean, I've written a ton of books. I'm not going to write any more books. I don't need to. I've done enough of that. I don't know that I have much more to say in book forms. But I love webinars. I'm always speaking. I got invited, from an Indian association in India, invited me to speak. I had a great time. I loved it. I've spoken all around the world and via Zoom. It's a great way to establish yourself as that expert. Leadership roles. So Like what you don't want to do is like go to your local chamber of commerce and just go to networking meetings where mortgage brokers and insurance salespeople are trying to sell you stuff. Whatever you do, you want to pick this strategically. And quality is more important than quantity. So I suggest maybe one or at most two leadership roles. Like maybe if you're going to specialize in healthcare, pick an association and be a leader there. Really be known, be recognized, do some research, speak at the conferences, help plan conferences. You know, whatever you do well, get known. And you'll find you get clients, you open doors. Similarly, you know, I've gotten some pretty good business just from some community work. Once again, I outsourced my introversion, my network. My wife was on the board of a musical, a musical nonprofit for kids, helping opportunities for kids to play music. And she met someone and referred them to me, and that was a client. She met someone on our kids' swim team, and they got to talking, and she said, you should talk to Andrew. And so there's local roles, right? Just do what you like to do and be a leader, and things will come, right? There's attorneys and accountants sometimes get all of their clients just by being well placed on the board of one nonprofit. You can do the same. So that's the third. And then the fourth is online marketing. The trick here is not to go down a rabbit hole. Like, don't spend your money on LinkedIn consultants that are going to show you how to spam to everybody on LinkedIn. You don't need much. You don't need Twitter. You know, there's just pick a few things. Definitely a really good LinkedIn profile, being active on LinkedIn, making educational posts, writing articles, getting involved in groups or starting a group. You can really do that. In fact, Ron, who gave me that testimonial before about $1 million, said a lot of his business was sourced through LinkedIn prospecting. Again, not hiring a spammy LinkedIn consultant, but just reaching out to people and trying to go offline, starting online. Okay. You know, I like YouTube videos. I like webinars, as you can see. There's a lot of, I have a good newsletter. Okay. You don't have to overdo it. So those are the 4 ways to get visible. If you're not getting visible, you're not going to get clients. You don't know where the clients will come. One of the conundrums or paradoxes or mysteries I've found is if I'm working really hard in one initiative, one marketing strategy or tactic, often a client comes from out of the blue from something I'm not working on. So you just want to have a bunch of things going on. J. Conrad Levinson said you need at least 5 weapons in your guerrilla marketing arsenal, 5 things you're doing all the time. And clients will eventually come. It's going to hurt at first. You're going to learn. You're going to see a lot of things that don't work. Remember that 10-to-1 Sisyphus metaphor, but it will come through. Okay. 5, you got to have the right package and pricing. I shared with you already my business model. But I suggest, keep it simple. I find too many coaches, coaching is so simple to scope. You don't need, a 10-page critical path work plan. It's real simple. When a client comes to me, I say, look, I have a 3-phase process. We assess, we coach to come up with the answer and solutions, and you implement, and we track results. I say, for 6 months, meeting weekly to start, backing off to every other week, it's typically about $25,000. Okay, that's it. I'm ready. I have something for that. A lot of clients also come to me for some sort of Zoom facilitation, and I'm ready. I just have a day rate. I know there's going to be at least a day of prep and 1 or 2 days of work. Okay, you just have to be ready. Have that package ready to go. And again, be super comfortable with it. You have to know, you have to be equally happy with a yes or a no based on price. Just start with your bottom line so that if they say that's too expensive, you're like, you're probably not really serious about solving this problem then. Okay. So that's number 5. Be ready. Have a package. You don't want to go to the client and say, I don't know, how do you want to work together? Right? If you go to a knee doctor and sit on the table with a sore knee, you don't want the doctor saying, how would you approach this? That's what a bad coach does and a bad doctor. You want the doctor to say, look, here's what we're going to do. Well, let's take an x-ray, see what it shows. Maybe we need an MRI. If we need to operate, we'll do this. Takes a day. Here's the rehab. That's it. As a coach, you also want to be ready. We'll show you how to do that in the program. We have a 1-page coaching plan. And with every type of coaching situation or solution, we modify that. We show you, we have a whole, about 1,000 pages of coaching solutions and tools ready for you just in time. Okay. 6, don't sell. Do not sell. Nobody wants to be sold to anymore. The beauty of coaching is it is a natural way to close engagements. I actually coach the client through the buying process. And we demonstrate this from time to time, but essentially I'm just coaching the client to figure out, how big is this problem, right? No one wants a coach like no one wants to go to the doctor. If there's not a big enough problem, they're not going to hire me. It's going to be mushy coaching. I don't want that, right? And then I'm going to coach them, where do you get the money? How do you get it? Who else is involved in it? And if they don't have the money, we're not moving forward. And then I want to confirm with them, how will we work together? Okay, so we give you the selling questions or the coaching questions to ask to really drill down into whether or not the problem the client has is big enough to hire an executive coach, whether they have the money, and how to work with them. I don't send proposals when asked. If the client says, I don't know, just send me a proposal, I'll say, I don't know what to put in it. If you're not willing to spend 10 to 20 minutes with me now to figure it out, it's pretty clear you're not going to go forward. And after we talk for 10 to 20 minutes, I say, all right, if they'll say, can you send me a proposal? I'll say, well, what happens if I summarize everything we just said, everything, including the price, right? Don't just guess at the price in a proposal. And anyway, and I send it to you and it matches what we talked about. What happens next? And if the client doesn't say, I'll move forward, then I'm not going to waste my time on a proposal, and that can take guts. Sometimes I have to say, listen, I don't understand. You told me you were the decision maker. You told me you could make it happen. I don't get it. Often you'll find clients are just collecting proposals. They're not telling you the truth. They're not serious. And so that's why I asked that. So there's natural conversations. They're basically coaching conversations. I won't coach a client before I'm hired. They don't have anything invested. Money is a symbol of investment, of commitment. And if they haven't signed the contract, I don't want to coach them. It's too easy. Coaching is not a parlor trick. It's not like hypnotizing someone at a comedy club. They have to be in it. And I'm going to coach them to figure out if that's true or not. Okay. So we're going to teach you those conversations, but it's essentially coaching them through the buying process. Once you learn how to coach, you can get really good at this as long as you don't step into giving free coaching. And finally, right, because now you're hired, you're a good coach, you're getting the price. For me, what's critical is this thing called the domino effect. And you see it on the screen here. You see these dominoes, right? You know what I'm talking about. As kids, we used to organize dominoes so that you just push it once and you could, you knock over a bunch of dominoes. Here, what the domino effect is new opportunities. Maybe the same client wants to continue coaching. Maybe the same client says, hey, instead of coaching, can you assess my team and do a team retreat? Or maybe the client says, here's some other people in the organization I want you to coach, or another training or something like that. I mean, that's my model. I want to get in with a client, not get rich on the first engagement, and work with them a long time. And my clients will hire me to train, facilitate, assess, interview, sometimes consult, certainly coach at their level. At the middle manager level, I've created programs for high potentials, trainings for managers. I mean, a ton of stuff. I just want to serve. I want to be in their inner circle as a trusted advisor. And all of this takes some capabilities. And that's what you learn in our center. We actually even have a facilitation program where we take some of our content and turn it into facilitated executive and leadership solutions, which is pretty cool. Okay, so that's how you do it. Let's review. 1, be an excellent coach. 2, have the right mindset. 3, position yourself powerfully. 4, get visible. You have to get visible in the right ways. 5, make sure you have a package and pricing ready to go because you'll be asked. 6, learn how to close engagements without being a sleazy salesperson, but instead just coaching them naturally about whether there's a fit. And 7, create that long-term relationship. If you do all of this, you will not only get your first client, you'll be a super successful coach. All right, let me take, what questions do you have here? Some of them I've answered, I think, naturally through the chat, but if anyone has questions, let me know. And then what I want to do is actually give you a tour of our member area. Dean says, what qualifications do you need to be a coach? Great question. In my opinion, coaching is a privilege. To be an executive coach is a privilege. It's not something you can just do. unless, so you need some sort of track record so that you're credible, which is a little bit paradoxical. That is, I know I could coach anybody on anything, right? Not therapy, but I could coach anybody on anything because it's not about me having the answers. But the clients don't know that, right? The clients want someone like them, someone who's credible, someone they can look in the eye, and someone they trust eventually. So I think you want to have some sort of track record of success. Okay. And so Lee says, what do I mean by being a trusted advisor? Like, you don't want to be a commodity coach where it's just, hey, I'll do 3 sessions for this much money. That's awful. That you're going to feel like you're running on a treadmill where you're spending more time getting clients than you are working with them. A trusted advisor is somebody where the client says, hey, can you help me with this? They realize that you're the one-shop leadership expert, and they can confide in you. They trust you. They want you to coach them, and they bring you in for tons of opportunities. Okay. Stefano says, if I don't have experience in corporate, but I have great soft skills, would that be good for executive coaching? Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. So for instance, let's say you have a company that has tons of MBAs and you don't have an MBA, you haven't been in corporate. What I tell the client is, look, you have plenty of people with corporate experience and you're telling me you're frustrated. Wouldn't it be helpful to have someone with a different skill set and different perspective to help you actually solve your problem? Right. Mariko says, can you speak to starting as a mood lighting or side hustle? Is that realistic? It is very realistic. That's what a lot of members of our program do. That's what I did. Okay. So let me share with you while the questions come. Keep up with your questions. I realize that time is a bit on the short side. I want to make sure I share with you what the member area looks like. So once you join, you'll see what you get. Okay. So what you see on the screen, I hope. Right? You tell me if you don't see it. You should see our member area. You'll see there's tons of tabs. And where you would start with the member area is with a welcome video. There's a nice welcome video here. Okay. And it tells you everything you need to do. It gets you acclimated. And then you'll see we take you gently through our process. We show you how to get on live webinars. We have recordings of every single live class we do. We show you how to log hours if you're going for the International Coaching Federation. And then you'll see our whole curriculum is online, but it's also via live webinars. We have 9 one-hour live webinars, but for busy professionals, you may want to go at this at your own pace. For instance, the foundational coaching conversation, we have like 6 or 7 one-hour classes that really walk you through how to do it badly so you don't do that. And we practice and we demo. Then we move to the process of coaching. How do you set up a robust coaching engagement? And you'll see coaching engagements, coaching proposals, how to do it, examples of processes, how to set yourself up as an expert, the one-page coaching plan, how to do group coaching, and on and on. And then we get into third-party assessment tools. How do you assess the client and the situation? And you'll see just about every single accepted, validated, reliable assessment tool we cover. It's amazing. I mean, you have this whole library here to go, and we're always refreshing this. Well, during our live webinars, we'll have experts come in and share. Okay. From there, you'll go to coaching solutions. And this is one of the things that really sets our program apart. For just about any situation a client has, and you can see them on the left, we have a coaching solution for that. And that coaching solution includes a quick, high executive summary of our approach, a methodology that is usually 40 or 50 pages long. It includes sample proposals, tips, questions that come up, areas of inquiry. We even often have a slide deck if you want to do a training or facilitated session or keynote speech, and you can use that and rebrand it. And then we have webinars that take you through how to coach clients. In this case, we even had a case study from an expert who had improved engagement in a big organization. So you name it, it's there. You can go on our website and see, it's everything from individual effectiveness to teams, relationships, and then a lot of organizational development issues, career coaching, business coaching for coaching the growing business. Membership is ongoing, we say informally. Our lawyers make us say in our terms and conditions, you get 3 years, but between you and me, informally, it's ongoing. We say your life or mine, whichever comes first, but I have a successor ready to go as well. So really, it's years and years, and you can download everything anyway. Okay, we're not a franchise. We're not charging ongoing royalties or access. Okay. Rocco asked, what if I just want the toolkit? What you get with the toolkit are these coaching solutions. And the other piece of our program is attracting clients. I took you through a high-end summary today, but there's hours and hours of resources and tools on how to build your practice. And you and I can get on the phone anytime, and I'll be a sounding board for you. Okay, so the toolkit, if all you want is the toolkit as a seasoned coach, you don't get all of this. No, this is our certification program. All right, there's not a lot of other stuff. You know, there's a set of resources. We'll mail you our textbook, but you can also download it. There's 1,000 pages of tools you can download. We can even give you the Word version. There's facilitation and training decks, business development guides. We have a reading list, sample coaching plan, illustrative coaching proposals. It's just a ton of resources. We have a facilitation training program that you'll see. We match you up with other CEC coaches if you add something, so you want to get your coaching hours. And we even have affinity groups. We're big enough now that we have a directory, and we have various affinity groups that are starting to form, to come together. Okay, so that's in a nutshell us. I'll take further questions if you have them, but my call to action again is just reach out anytime, right? You can see how to reach me if you go here to, let's see, where's contact. Okay, this is my cell phone. I put my personal cell phone here. You know, we're an organization with a number of faculty members. We're worldwide, but I want people to be able to reach me directly. You can also email me directly right here. That's what I'd advise you do. So, you know, say, look, I want a strategy session to see if this is right for me. I'd really like you to check out the website though. Make sure you know the pricing, the different program options. That way we can jump into your needs. All right, that's the goal here. That's really all I have. Are there any other questions you might have about coaching or the program? I'm going to take this off record for a moment here.